Have you ever noticed that sometimes the people who should cheer for you the most are precisely the ones who want to see your downfall? They look down on you, mock your dreams, and even seem to feed on your difficulty. And the big question is how to respond to this. Is it worth discussing, shouting, rebutting every offense? Or is there a much more powerful way to put everyone in their proper place without even touching them? What few understand is that true revenge is not in the noise, but in silence. It is not born of uncontrolled anger, but of the self-control of those who know how to play in the long term. When you turn the energy of the offense into fuel to grow, something magical happens. Those who laughed at you are forced to watch your success from the balcony without being able to stop anything. In this video, I'll show you 5 ways to destroy your enemies without lifting a finger, using principles of Stoicism and practical wisdom to turn the tide. And it's not a distant philosophy, it's something you can apply today in any area of your life. You will realize that discipline, calm, and strategy can be much sharper weapons than anger and yelling. So, if you're tired of wasting time with those who doubt you and want to learn how to turn contempt into fuel for victory, stay with me until the end and enjoy. Subscribe to the channel because here the goal is simple: to teach you how to become a true soldier of the mind. Someone unbeatable and unshakable in the face of criticism. It's almost inevitable. At some point in your life, you'll come across people who look at you with contempt. They don't believe in your potential, make veiled jokes, or even try to push you down. The natural reaction would be to scream, to defend yourself, to throw back the same energy. But think about it, what would that solve? Most of the time, it would only further fuel their satisfaction in seeing you lose control. Anger is the response they expect. Silence, on the other hand, is the response that disarms them. The great idea is to understand that demonstrating is much more impactful than speaking. Imagine someone laughing at your dream of starting a business. You could argue and try to prove your point right there. But what if instead you kept quiet, worked hard, and months later that person was forced to see your store full of customers? This is the kind of answer that shuts up without needing a word. It's not about pretending nothing happened, but about choosing a strategy that actually works. The scream may even give you momentary relief, but the result that comes with effort and discipline builds true respect. And respect, my friend, is not asked for, it is earned. With each silent victory, you will realize that the echo of your action speaks much louder than any inflammatory speech. Start by practicing this pose in small situations. When someone teases you, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is it worth spending energy here, or will I save it for my victory down the road? This simple habit already changes your mindset. You leave the field of reaction and enter the field of strategy. And it is on this ground that the real winners play. When someone doubts you, the worst trap is wanting to prove something with words. Success in itself is the most elegant and devastating answer there is. It does not need explanation. It does not depend on justification. It just happens, and when it does, even the harshest critics are forced to swallow hard. It is as if each achievement were a silent slap, impossible to ignore. Here's how it works in practice. Instead of spending energy arguing with those who call you a dreamer, you use that same energy to build your path. Time passes, the results appear, and suddenly that same person who laughed at you now watches from afar, without arguments. Success is a universal language. Even those who don't like you understand. The most interesting thing is that by choosing this form of silent revenge, you not only protect yourself from frustration, but you also grow in silence. You realize that you don't have to keep announcing each step because the impact is on the final result. And the more unexpected its growth, the greater the shock of those who never believed. Start by applying this to the small victories of everyday life. Start collecting discrete progress, finishing a project, improving your health, saving money, studying in silence. These small achievements accumulate until your entire life becomes proof that you didn't need to scream. Your trajectory speaks for you, and no one can silence that. There is a secret force hidden in even the cruelest criticism. When someone mocks you or questions your worth, you have two options: feel defeated or use it as gasoline for the engine of your determination. Think about how many success stories were born precisely from provocation. How many athletes have been told that they would never get there and turned every word of disdain into another intense workout? This is the power to take the poison and turn it into medicine. The secret is not to absorb hatred as if it were true, but to redirect it as energy. Imagine someone saying that you don't have the discipline to change your life. Instead of responding angrily, you might think, "Great, now I have one more reason to prove otherwise." This mindset becomes a silent game, where every criticism turns into a reminder of why you can't give up. Of course, it is not easy to maintain this posture in the heat of the moment. The temptation to fight back is great, but it is precisely at this moment that stoic self-control comes into play. You learn to smile internally and to think, "Thank you for the fuel. I will use it to go even further." Few understand that the contempt of others can become one of the greatest sources of motivation. Take the test. Write down the phrases you've heard from those who doubted you. Keep them as a reminder not of pain, but of propulsion. Every time you get tired, read these words and remind yourself why you can't stop. It's like carrying an extra stash of energy in your pocket, always ready to propel you forward when the journey tightens. Most people try to prove who they are through speeches, but words loose in the wind do not support anything. What really shuts the mouth of any critic is the living evidence of its growth. When your life becomes the testimony of what you have built, there is no argument that will stand. It's like looking at a tree loaded with fruit. No one needs to explain that it's healthy. The fruits speak for themselves. This silent victory is the most uncomfortable for those who despised you, because they cannot deny what is in front of their eyes. You didn't need to rebut. You didn't need to justify. You just lived your truth and reaped the results. This posture transforms the game, because it shows that your energy has been all invested in what really matters: consistent action. And here's the detail that few realize: when you allow your life to speak for itself, you not only dismantle enemies, but inspire those who are watching from the outside. People who may have been in doubt about their own path begin to look to you as a reference. Your victory goes far beyond the ego. It becomes living proof that it is possible. Want to start applying this? Choose an area of your life that needs transformation and work on it in silence. Don't count plans, just show results when they appear. This is the most elegant and powerful way to demonstrate strength. After all, at the end of the day, the world doesn't listen so much to what you say, but sees clearly what you've become. No true success happens by chance. Behind every silent victory, there is a routine of discipline and determination that no one sees. It's waking up when there's no motivation. It's repeating the little habits that seem insignificant. It's staying focused, even when everything around you screams at you to give up. This silent constancy is what separates those who speak from those who perform. Think of a soldier in training. He does not prepare only when the war begins, but every day, even in peace. So it is in life. If you wait for the moment of pressure to start organizing, you will have already lost. It is in the daily routine, in the invisible details, that you build the armor necessary to face any battle. Discipline, combined with determination, creates an almost unbreakable strength. When you decide that you're going to continue, even if you don't feel like it, your brain learns that it is no longer the feeling that commands, but the doing. And that changes everything. Little by little, you come to trust yourself because you realize that you can count on your own word. Start simple. Set a small but non-negotiable commitment. It could be reading 10 pages a day, practicing 20 minutes, or saving a fixed amount. It doesn't matter the size, what matters is constancy. Each time you comply, you reinforce in yourself the identity of someone determined. And this identity, when consolidated, is impossible to be overthrown by any enemy. When someone tries to tease you, what they really want is to see you lose your balance. Lack of control is like a prize that you hand over on a platter to the enemy. But when you keep calm, something unexpected happens. Instead of weakening, you become even more imposing. Serenity is an invisible weapon that confuses, disarms, and often bothers more than any aggressive response. Self-control is the heart of Stoicism. It does not mean repressing feelings, but mastering the reaction. Think of a heated argument. While everyone is shouting, the one who speaks softly and keeps his composure is the one who really controls the situation. This posture conveys power, security, and strategic intelligence. It's like playing chess against someone who only knows how to move pieces on impulse. You already know who's going to win. Exercising this skill takes daily practice. There is no point in waiting for the moment of provocation to learn to take a deep breath. Start in simple situations. In traffic, when someone closes your car. At home, when something doesn't go as you planned. Every small victory over one's own temper is a brick in the fortress of one's self-control. And remember, losing your cool is costly. You can lose opportunities, relationships, and even credibility in seconds of losing control. Serenity, on the other hand, builds a solid reputation of someone who does not let himself be easily shaken. This reputation in itself already destroys enemies, because nothing frustrates those who attack you more than seeing that they failed to hit you. Few things disarm someone as much as indifference. Those who try to attack you look for a reaction. They want to see your anger, your sadness, or your nervousness. But when you just don't pay attention, the person loses control of their own strategy. It is as if you had thrown a stone at a wall, and instead of cracks, you saw that the wall is still intact. Silence and the absence of response speak much louder than any counterattack. This is a lesson that many take a long time to learn. Ignoring is not weakness. It is emotional intelligence. It's choosing where it's worth spending your energy and where it's not. After all, if every time someone pokes you, you respond, you'll spend your whole life stuck in useless battles. The true warrior chooses his wars, and many of them are won precisely by not entering combat. Of course, it's not easy. The ego screams, wants to justify itself, wants to show that it is right. But here's the secret. When you practice strategic indifference, you show that you're on another level of consciousness. You don't need to prove anything to those who have already decided not to believe you. And this is devastating for the pride of those who wanted to hit you. Practice indifference in small gestures. A mean comment? Smile and move on. A provocation on social networks? Ignore it and keep producing. Each time you don't react, your mind gets stronger. And at the end of the day, that's the most lethal weapon, showing that no one has power over you unless you let them be. Criticism only has the weight you decide to give it. When someone despises you or tries to diminish your value, in practice, they are only revealing their own limitation. The problem is that many absorb these words as if they were absolute truths. Raising consciousness is precisely breaking this cycle, realizing that the judgment of others does not define who you are. It is just a reflection of the short-sightedness of those who emit it. Think of a simple example. If someone calls a diamond a regular stone, does that change the essence of the diamond? Of course not. It remains valuable even if blind eyes don't notice. Likewise, your identity is not measured by external opinions, but by the value you build in silence. When you understand this, criticism loses its power to hurt you. Raising consciousness is like adjusting the focus of a camera. You stop zooming in on what doesn't matter and start seeing the whole picture. Those who criticize you, in fact, are offering you an opportunity to grow without depending on their approval. True freedom is born when you understand that you don't need anyone's validation to move forward. Practice this look on a daily basis. When you hear criticism, instead of asking yourself, is it true? Ask, does it help me grow or does it just try to stop me? If it doesn't add anything, discard it. This mental filter is one of the greatest proofs of maturity. And in the end, you realize that the snub has never had real value other than the value you choose to give. In the end, nothing silences critics more deeply than a well-constructed life. Abundance here means not just money, but wholeness, health, quality relationships, inner peace, and the freedom to live on your own terms. When you reach this level, any negative word becomes small compared to the size of your reality. It's like trying to put out the sun with a bucket of water. It just doesn't work. Building this life requires a long-term vision. It's not about running after quick answers to prove something to someone, but about building a solid trajectory, brick by brick. Those who live in this mindset are not just looking for momentary victories, a legacy search. And legacy is something that echoes for generations, far beyond the passing opinion of those who tried to belittle you. The curious thing is that when you focus on creating abundance, enemies are no longer important. They may even keep talking, but you don't listen to them anymore. The external noise loses its strength in the face of the internal music of someone who knows exactly where he is going. And this security in itself is already a form of silent destruction. Start planting seeds today. Take care of your body, invest in knowledge, work with purpose, and protect your peace. Every area of your life, when strengthened, becomes a shield against contempt. Gradually, your abundance makes it clear that you have not only won, but built a life so complete that there is no room left to waste time with enemies. The most elegant revenge is not just to win on the outside, but to transform yourself on the inside. When you decide to become the best version of yourself, each day stops being a battle against others and becomes a training against yourself. This is the spirit of the Stoic soldier, someone who understands that the mind is the real battlefield, and that inner discipline is the most powerful weapon there is. Being a soldier of the mind means waking up with purpose, acting clearly, and not getting carried away by passing impulses. It is replacing the "I'll try" with "I'll do it," the maybe with "for sure." Gradually, you realize that you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Because true recognition is in the mirror, in seeing yourself stronger, more serene, and more aware than you were yesterday. This movement is not about perfection, but about constant progress. A Stoic soldier knows that falling is part of it, but getting up is an even bigger part. He understands that every challenge is a workout, and that every criticism is an endurance test. With this mindset, even the worst enemies become unwitting allies of your growth. And here's the bottom line. Becoming the best version of yourself is the ultimate destruction of any contempt. Because no one can fight the strength of someone who has already overcome their own ego, their own laziness, and their own fear. When you enter this movement, you stop being just an individual reacting to the world and become a fortress that inspires and transforms. Now that you've covered each of these points, the question remains, what are you going to do with all this? Will you continue to spend energy trying to explain yourself to those who have never believed in you? Or will you choose the path of the strong, the one in which life speaks louder than any words? The power is in your hands, and the decision is yours alone. Think about how many times you've reacted on impulse and regretted it later. And now imagine the opposite. What would it be like if each provocation turned into fuel to grow? If every criticism was used as self-control training? The difference between those who win and those who fall by the wayside is exactly there, in the ability to turn attacks into levers. The real victory is not to shout that you made it, but to live in such a way that no one can deny it. And this journey begins in silence, in daily discipline, in the invisible construction that sooner or later becomes impossible to ignore. Those who learn to play this game will never be the same again. So I leave you with a provocation. Are you willing to become a soldier of the mind? Someone unshakable in the face of criticism and unbreakable in the face of challenges. If the answer is yes, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here you'll learn with each video how to strengthen your mind, your discipline, and your entire life. Because the world doesn't need more screaming, it needs living examples of quiet victory.